Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well indeed. Thank you very much. Beautiful day. And now I'm looking forward to an evening.
Yeah, yeah, cool. So today we need to talk about life lessons and legacies.
Yes,
And
okay.
I found it's more interesting as we covered like childhood, adulthood, the present, and identity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this is like the turn of life lessons as like a result of your previous life.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, the first question is what have you liked best about your life so far?
Um, I think variety and challenge. Um,
Variety and yeah.
yeah, I mean, as I've said before, I've had several jobs in
Hmm.
quite a few different fields. Each
Hmm.
one has had its own challenges, and
Hmm.
that's something I like. I don't say I hate routine, but I dislike routine.
Yes,
So
yes.
things that take me out of the routine I find much more interesting.
Hmm.
And with it being different jobs, each job gives me a new challenge. It may not be a huge challenge, but it is a challenge because it's different from the
The
previous.
previous one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. So what do you feel have been the important successes in your life
Um, I think that's a
as you
very
tried
hard
many
question.
things?
I think that's a very hard question to answer. If you're
Try.
talking personal successes, then um, I think ending up where I am now as a teacher, almost accidental,
Hmm.
but looking back, I think that the decisions I made in the past maybe brought me here. I
Hmm.
don't want to talk about fate or destiny, but I
Hmm.
think there's certainly been a connection between what's happened in the past and, and where I am now.
Yes.
To call things decisions, they're not really decisions, they're just things that happen. There's no,
Yeah.
I think many times there's no conscious decision on my part.
Okay, so from the most important things to most hardest things, like what
Mhm.
the most difficult things in your life, and how did you deal with it?
Um, I I think my divorce has been a difficult problem,
Hmm.
uh, but then,
In which way?
well, it's the breakup of a long-lasting relationship,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
for reasons you don't always understand,
Hmm.
because other people have a different viewpoint from yours.
Hmm.
So what the other party sees as a fault, you think, did I do that? And
Hmm.
did I say that? Then maybe talking more would have helped me to avoid problems. I honestly don't know, but
Hmm.
I think one thing I have learned is that ultimately you have to live for yourself. You can't always live to please the other person. There's times when you have to not exactly stand up for yourself, but be more determined that what the other person wants may not be the best thing for you for many reasons.
Do you think it's just a phase? Like sometimes we have to compromise and to please people surround us, like our family or partners, and in different phase we have to just look after ourselves.
Yes, but I think I got stuck in the first phase, never quite got to the second phase.
Yes, yes,
You, you get
uh,
you get drawn in to
yes.
pleasing other people,
Hmm.
and it gives you a fairly good feeling, I think, that
Hmm.
you're pleasing somebody, but it may well be taking something from you as a person.
Hmm. But if it's for the right person and the right place, I think it will like reflect on
Maybe. I'm still waiting for the reflection.
you. Okay. Okay. So next question. So what do you think the turning points have been in your life?
Well, definitely the divorces, they've persuaded me, if you like, not forced, but definitely persuaded me to rethink my life, what I want from my life. And I've generally been in a position to be able to make a change, which probably looking back now was for the better, but at the time it was something I had to do rather than something I wanted to do. I've said before, I've basically drifted into what I'm doing now.
Yes.
Um, but looking back, there's always been some sort of influence that's given
Yes.
me something that I can use
Mhm,
now when I'm teaching.
mhm, mhm. So about influence. So what have been the most influential experience in your life?
Um, I think people I've worked with
Hmm.
um, have influenced me, um, opened my eyes in some cases to something that is right or something that's wrong.
Hmm.
Um, but also, I think personality in a way that you think, okay, I've lost this job. What can I
Hmm.
do next?
Hmm.
So you look for something that you feel comfortable doing, but you think may well be a challenge and that you will enjoy. Um, I, I've always looked for pleasure in my life, whether it's my
Perfect.
personal before my life, because I think that's so important. Excuse me. Life is too short to be miserable.
Yes, I agree. I agree. But like, not always we do what we want.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. I think that
Yeah,
things
yeah.
happen that are out of our control.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you've got to make the best of it.
So how about a person, like to describe a person or a situation from your childhood that had a profound effect on the way you look at life?
I think again, I'd have to go back to my parents. My
Mhm,
my father was always busy,
mhm,
always looking forward to the next thing, planning things. My
mhm.
mother, in many ways, was maybe a little more of an opposite. I mean, she was very um,
Relaxed?
much more relaxed. Oh, that's the way it appeared to me, whether it was true
Ah,
or not. But as a
mhm,
child, you don't always see the truth.
mhm,
But I think I've, in many ways, inherited my mother's character in
mhm,
that I go with the flow. If this is happening, then okay, I'll do it. Whereas maybe looking back, my father might have said, no, this isn't right. I want to do this.
mhm,
So I
mhm.
think my mother's genes, if you like, are stronger than my father's genes in me in,
Yes, yes.
when it comes to character.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so what do you know now that you wish you would known when you were young?
Um, I think analysing the work I've done, I wish I'd known many years ago that I like people. I like working with people.
Mhm,
Um, I may have ended up as a teacher many years ago. Um, on the other hand, teachers don't have a very good life, in my experience. They burn out very
yes,
quickly. So you
yes.
start as a teacher and you end up doing something else. where I've come at it the other direction. I've worked
Yes.
and ended up as a teacher.
Like when it needed to, like you want to relax, you want to just spend time, you want to talk to people. So kind of after doing many things in your life, this is the
Mhm.
time for take a rest and talk with people.
Yeah, yeah. Um, excuse me. And not necessarily a rest. It's a more relaxing challenge, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yes,
Because
yes, yeah,
you,
this is the
you,
exact
you
one.
plan to a certain extent, but um, when you teaching on camp, well, teaching in general, teaching English, you've got to be prepared for the unexpected.
Hmm.
And again, that's part of the excitement.
Yes,
Um, you have a conversation, you never quite know when a question is going to come out of left field, which is
yes,
it's, somebody's going to ask you a question about something you hadn't considered, and that keeps you on your toes.
yes, yes, yes. That statement of spontaneity, like,
Hmm.
um, yeah, yeah, yeah. You weren't expect those questions or those discussions. So yeah, you're on fire. We can say that. Like, yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so the next question is, what have you held on to that's important and why it's important? Like
And
a value, a tradition, a way of thinking, something like if we talk about material things, like anything.
uh, I think I have a watch that belonged to my father
Wow.
during the Second World War. Doesn't work anymore, but I've kept it for one day. I will get it fixed.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. But the value of it, there's no need to be like working or not, just the value, like to
yeah,
have it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I have a little piece of my father in many ways because
yes.
it's a watch he wore all his life. I
Hmm.
remember seeing him wearing it from being very small,
Wow.
and it's a powerful reminder
Hmm.
of my father. I did have his wedding ring, um, but I lost that swimming, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Really
was
bad
that was
experience.
that was devastating because that
Yes, yeah.
again was another important memory.
Hmm. Hmm.
But
Yeah,
I've got things I've held on to. My brother, up till recently, my sister. They were, if you like, gifts from my parents.
wow.
And in my opinion, you can't overvalue a sister.
Yes.
Yeah, they well, I'm convinced my sister sometimes thinks she's my mother.
Hmm.
Has always been important to me, and
Hmm.
I'm convinced that sometimes she thinks she's my mother. That, but again, it's partly my doing. I I don't say I want her approval, but I appreciate her approval. I've always been big brother, so
For her.
we for her, and she's always been my little sister. There's only 6 years between us, which at our ages isn't a lot, but
Yes.
uh, she's somebody I know I could talk to about anything, and she wouldn't be judgmental, but she would give me what, in her opinion, well, in my opinion as well, I think would be good advice.
Hmm.
So that's another thing that I've had nearly all my life anyway, that I've held on to. I'd hate to lose touch with 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 my little sister.
Yes. Again, as you said, like the watch is like a small part from your father. So I think your sister is a small part from your mother, like a
Yes,
daughter, like a mother, or the
yes,
little
yeah,
mother. Yeah,
yeah,
I really like that.
yeah, and it's not scary exactly, but she looks like my mother. Now
My God.
she's um, the same facial shape, similar hairstyle, similar hair color, And
Wow.
it's like having not my mother reincarnated. That sounds a bit weird, but uh,
Yes.
I value her opinion as much as I value anybody else's.
Wow. Lucky you.
I am, yes. I've always said, I've had a very lucky life. I've
Hmm.
been, um, if something has happened, there's always been an escape or a next step, which is fairly obvious to take. Um, I'm an English speaker, um, so I'm lucky with that. I like people, and I've had opportunities. So
Hmm.
I think luck or destiny, depending on your point of view,
Yes.
is
Yes.
is very important.
Mhm. Okay, when we talk about life experience and so on, so over time, how have you changed the way you look at life and people?
I think I've learnt that some battles are worth fighting. Other battles, you let it go. It's not worth it in the long run. Um, it's yeah, you learn to assess which what is a battle worth fighting and what is not worth it. You're going to waste your time and your energy. Okay, you might feel 100% that you're right, but you're not going to get anywhere by continuing any conflict. So you think, well, okay, let it go, and I'm not going to sing the song, um, and save your energy for the things that matter.
But unfortunately, like we think properly after the ending of the situation, not in the right time, after wasting our
Yes.
time and efforts.
Hmm. But
Yeah.
again, you learn from your mistakes.
Hmm.
If you may not think about it the day after, but
Hmm.
maybe in a couple of months or a year, you look back and you can analyze the situation and think, well, I wasted my time. I won't do it again, in theory, until you do it again.
Hmm.
But one thing I think, saying somebody, sorry, not somebody said, I heard once is, I know what mistakes are, but I make them 2 or 3 times to make sure.
This is mistake another. Okay, one, two, three, four.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So learning from people, learning from life, do mistakes, and so on. So, what advice did your grandparents or parents give you that you remember best?
I don't remember any particular advice from my grandparents.
Mhm.
Um, my grandmother on my mother's side, very similar character to my mother. My grandfather, um, on again on my mother's side, he was he was just a really nice guy. I I played golf with him illegally.
Perfect.
Um, yeah, and it, we just enjoyed our time together. Um,
Yes.
I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but sitting down and preparing pipe tobacco from the
Yes.
tin.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, again, if you just felt comfortable with him, there was no judgment. There were no, um, if you do this, my boy, when you grow up, there was none of that. No preaching, if you
No.
like.
No. No need to walk on eggshells with him.
No, no, not at all. No. I don't remember there being eggshells, if you pardon the expression.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, do you have a philosophy of life?
Um, I really don't know. I think I could say go with the flow, which has worked for me. Um, but as an overreaching one, I remember from a famous British science fiction author, a guy called Douglas Adams, and I rem- I remember him or a quotation of his. He said, "I may not be where I intended to be, but I'm sure I am where life intended me to be." And it's a comforting thought in a
Yes,
way.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I
But
think
the
I've
point is,
misquoted, but
actually, I'm about to ask you, like, what's your best piece of advice for living? And I really like this one.
I do, yes, because it reinforces my go with the flow philosophy.
Yeah, you've mentioned that many times that like a person who tended to go with the flow,
Hmm.
and it seems you are happy with that. For other, they stand for their point of view and for perception for the life.
Hmm.
What do you think?
I think that's
You would like
definitely correct.
if you have to
I
choose to go with the
um,
flow. Mhm,
I would go continue to go with the flow.
mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
two reasons. One, I've experienced it and I've ended up doing something I enjoy. And two, I'm too lazy to fight.
It's not about laziness. It's about like a philosophy, a way of living, and I really like it. And this
Yeah,
is like this is you are like this is me.
yeah, yeah. And I probably people that know me would agree. Um, Sometimes you end up overthinking things, procrastinating a little, and sometimes it it comes back to haunt you because you didn't do it when you could have done it. But
Yes.
then it's happened. You can't go back in time and change it. So again, we come back to go with the flow.
Yes.
Whether you interrupted the flow or not, the result is the same.
Mhm, mhm. So I ask you to like if you have that choice to choose between to go with the flow or to stand for a specific way of living. So the
Hmm.
question is like, how do you define a good life or successful life?
I think, from my point of view, a good life is um, to have what you want, not want
Yes.
what you don't have. Yeah, to be content with your lot. Okay, when you're young, you think I'm going to be a famous airline pilot or footballer or whatever. But as you get older, you think, well, I've got everything I need. I may like something, but I don't need it. So you don't worry about it. You don't beat yourself up about it. I haven't got it. I haven't got it. So worrying about it isn't going to change anything.
Mhm. Okay, the next question. So, have you had a purpose in your life?
To survive. Um,
Okay.
and no, I don't think I really have had a purpose in life other than to to be not respected but liked by the people I'm with. I think that's important. Um, you've you become uh, you would not see yourself through their eyes, but you want to leave them with a good impression of you
Yes.
when when it's when something happens and it's time to move on.
Mhm.
Uh, do you remember Keith? Oh yes, he was the guy who. Not do you remember Keith? Oh yes, he was the guy who. I don't. There's a big difference between the two.
Actually, this is our next question. So, like, what would you like people to remember about you, and more specifically, like your family, your son, your grandson?
I think basically he was a nice guy who did the best he could. Um, He made mistakes, but he was human. So I think that I want it on my gravestone. But he made mistakes, but he was human. I think would be a suitable epitaph.
Yes, yes. I totally agree with it. Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
So happy actually. I
Okay.
enjoyed
Thank
it a
you.
lot.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
like to thank you is not that enough actually
It
for
is.
being
You
with you
you
and to listen to you.
yeah.
Yeah,
You've taken me down many roads I haven't been down before, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, Ismail. See you soon. Next time, whenever.
Yes.
Take care and keep safe, please.